Salutare, dragi fibriști! Ne revedem la emisiunea Meet Fiber Optic Experts numărul 7 și continuăm cu invitație internațional pe fibră optică. Așa că, prin urmare, vom continua această emisiune în engleză. So, hi to everyone who likes fiber optic or who would like to know more about fiber optics. We are in the podcast Meet Fiber Optic Experts number 7. And this time we have the pleasure to see and to meet our guest, which is Emeric Dont. He is founder of Topo Consulting. Is a very good expert in fiber optic from France. Welcome, Emeric, with us today.
Thank you, Cornel.
It was nice to meet you, and we had good discussions along some years already. I think we know more than 5 years already, isn't it?
Yes.
Very good time. So that's a good opportunity for you first to present your rich experience in fiber optic, how long you had been, and what type of activities had you been done up to now for fiber optics.
Thank you. Long experience because I'm old, and so I am a telecom engineer. The beginning of my career was in research and development in the beginning of the digital TV, so not yet in the fiber optic. The beginning of my operational experience was in mobile industry during probably between 5 and 10 years, and after that I discovered the fabulous and wonderful world of fixed network. The first part, I was operational director, customer operational director in Numericable. Numericable was a little cable operator, and as all the cable operators, they needed to modernize the coaxial networks in FTTB network, first part, and after that to deploy FTTH. So the beginning for me of the fiber optic experience was in 2002, sorry, and in 2005, Altice took the control of Numericable, and after that all the cable operators in France, and after that in other operators all around the world, in Israel, in Switzerland, in Belgium, in Portugal, in United States. During 15 years, I worked in Altice. I was customer operation director. I was head of processes, group head of processes. I defined the rollout processes, the maintenance processes, the connections processes. The important way was to define efficient processes, costly efficient, operationally efficient processes, to define the tools, to define the method, to define the relationship with the partner, with the technical subcontractors, etc. So huge part. The last year in Altice, I was CEO of Altice Technical Service, and Altice Technical Service is a subsidiary of Altice and a group of all the subcontractors in charge of the operations for Altice.
It's like a branch for execution.
Absolutely, it is production and field production. After that, and it was the occasion to meet you, Cornel, and to work hard on fiber development for Camusa. I was the deputy CEO of Camusa. With Cornel and with Luis Morjan. I think that Luis was one of your
attendees. Guest here.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we worked hard on the development of the business line, fiber business line in Camusa. And particularly, we built from scratch a fiber training center under the responsibility of the best teacher in fiber optic in the world, Cornel Barbe. And it was very important, not only because we need to give the good skills to the people, obviously, but we need also to give the good skill for the good customer, because the regulations, the technical needs, because the technical choices are not the same in one country and the other. In Romania, we don't have exactly the same thing than in France. For example, in France, we have mutualized networks. It is a specificity, so we don't need exactly the same thing. So it was important in the fiber training center in Bucharest to give not only the technical skills, but also the customer needs for the deployment. And it was really a good experience. After the Cabusat period, I created my own consulting company, Topo Consulting. We have several specificities in Topo Consulting. We have only senior consultant. I don't work with junior. Lots of consulting companies work with junior. It is important to train, to hire and to train some junior, but it is not our focus. We work only with senior, and we work only with non-consultant senior. So I give you a few words on that. They are not cost experts in consulting. All of the consultants are former operational. So they already worked on field. So on field, it could be on engineering office, it could be on operation management, it could be, so it is not on the field, but they are operational for subcontractors, for operators, for vendors, for engineering office. I don't care. My point is, I want guys who have the knowledge of the operations really, not on the paper. We don't focus on papers, we focus on reality. And it is a specificity of Topo Consulting. We're able to say to our customers, to our clients, we already saw this situation, so we are able to advise you on that.
So how many consultants do you have? Because I see here that's Emeric, I'm glad that you speak about this job, I can say, on the fiber optic, like a consultant on fiber optic, which you say about, let's say, two levels, junior and senior consultant. And you are speaking about senior fiber optic consultant, which is a great position, which is coming from the operation first, and after this to the consultancy.
Absolutely. And the end of the career of some people, sometimes it is, we need to share our experience. As a senior, we need to share our experience to help the client to win time, to win in efficient, to be more efficient, etc. And sometimes it is better for them to just have external advisors. So that's why we have this sort of consulting company. It is really the focus we have in Topo Consulting.
It's very interesting because it's here like a good connection between like French market, which is a little bit specific, I can say,
Absolutely.
in Europe for special conditions in deployment of fiber optic.
Yeah.
And also it's good, I see on your side and on your portfolio this opening for the international view, to open and to connect with other markets, like with Camusat, like with others. So like Altice is a French operator, but Altice is operating in other countries too. So what about your international experience? What you can say?
Two things. Even if the technical choices could be different in one country to the other, and particularly I said that in France we have really a specificity with this mutualized network, and obviously I can speak about during this interview. But finally, in all the countries, we will have the same needs with the same organization between the role between the operator, the subcontractor, the engineering office, etc., even if we have technical choices, it will be different. Finally, the real needs in terms of tools, organizations, certifications, trainings, certification skills are obviously finally the same. Finally, we have the same tools. Finally, we have the same global processes. Finally, we have the same sort of organizations. Even if we have for the organization, we have the operator has the choice, needs to have the choice between I can have my own teams to deploy to make the operations, or I can deploy with subcontractors. Okay, but once we have this decision taken, finally it will be exactly the same sort of organization, the same management of efficiency, the same needs of control, quality control, financial control, organization control, efficiency control, finally. So globally speaking, even if we have specificities, and particularly due to the regulation in the different countries, finally it is the same thing. Just one example as an evidence of that. For the moment, I have a consulting mission for an operator in Maghreb, and they asked us to make an international benchmark of best practices to be sure to have finally the good organization, the good tools, etc., etc. So for them, they understood that they don't want to focus on the Maghreb market to make the good choices, but they need to see and to have a global benchmark, because the decisions are globally the same in all the countries.
It's very nice that you are speaking about, let's say, rich experience on the international level, and to see common things and different things. So that's a good moment to pass on, let's say, from your experience, but also from the perspective of the company. Like you said, what is about French evolution of fiber optic market, how it was in the past and how you see today and how you see in the future, because France now at the European level, it was very much behind, but due to a good strategy at the national level, France is known as a good governmental driven strategy, like national brand strategy broadband for this. And it seems to be the 2030 that the digital agenda goal seems to be in France reached in 2030 to each house to have a fiber optic connection, isn't it? Or how far is with the penetration rate and fiber optic status in France?
So it depends. In France, we have finally we have three sort of areas, and it is not the same regulation in the different areas. The first one is the very high density. The very density is, globally speaking, the big towns. So the 21 biggest town in France, Paris plus Île-de-France around Paris, and 20 other big countries, Bordeaux, Lille, Lyon, Marseille, etc., etc. In this area, we don't have any regulation. It is a word, but it is a reality. We don't have any regulation in these towns. The point of view of the government and the regulator was because it is the big towns, we will have needs. So the operators, commercial operators, will want to connect every building and to propose offers. And we have mainly buildings, not many houses, very few houses and lots of buildings. Even if it is not under regulation, the law, we need to have the General Assembly vote to authorize to build anything, so to build the network inside the building. So each time we have a decision of the General Assembly of the owners for each building, we have the authorization to build a vertical network with optical fiber. That's why it is very complicated. It is long because we need to go on each general assembly to have the bot to build. We have only 1 year to deploy the fiber inside the building, etc., etc. So it is a long way, but the operators are interested in this deployment because lots of people in a very high density, so few connections to have lots of customers.
In the France, what is the status outdoor fiber optic connection up to the building, let's say, and what is the status with indoor? It's a big gap between them, like in the majority parts of Europe, or do you see this indoor fiber optic connection coming closer?
So for this specific area, very high density, it is mainly indoor, obviously, inside the building, particularly. So it is cheaper. It is not very expensive because the length of the fiber optic between the last termination access and the PTO is very short. And it is mainly indoor. For the two others areas, we have a medium density area. It is under control of the regulator, and not only regulator, but by law. We have only 2 operators, but in these 2 other areas, medium density and very rural parts, we have a really very specific also engineering. We have a mutualized network, so we have only one operator, infrastructure operator, in charge of the deployment. And after that, we have commercial operators which are able to propose their offers on the existing fiber. So they connect the mutualized point inside in the middle of the area between the central office and the houses. And for this part, it is mainly outdoor with aerial on-poles deployment. And it is more complicated.
Emeric, sorry, you still speak about aerial developments of fiber optic in France? Because I remember when I came there, before to come to France, I knew that France has, like Occident or Europe has underground cable. But I saw still there in France still exist a lot of aerial cables. What is the ratio of aerial cables versus underground cables in France from your point of view?
Globally speaking, it depends on the regions. We have 100 or something like 100 specific public initiative networks. And it is not the same thing in the middle of the France, in the mountain, along the sea, etc. So, but globally speaking, it is probably between around like 30% in aerial impulse. And why? Because the government, the political decision was to deploy fastly fiber optic for all the territory, for all the households. It is a promise of the president. So it is not under regulation, it is under law. We have the name of the plan of this roadmap is Plan France Très Haut Débit, very high throughput roadmap. And because of that, the target was to deploy fastly. And because of that, when we don't have any existing infrastructure, we have the priority was to deploy poles and to deploy fastly on poles. Even if we know that it is better for the delay, time to arrival, it's better. We are able to reach the target 100% of the households before 2025. It will be done, probably. But it is not resilient enough because of winds, etc., etc. So it is not resilient enough. So it is an issue. And probably tomorrow, I don't know exactly when it is tomorrow, but between today and in 10 years, we will be obliged to deploy again and to bury the cables. So we decided by law to go fast, but we will need to reinvest on the existing networks and to bury the cables.
30% where do you have aerial 30% of the network
10
to
million,
rebuild
the
or to
price,
move,
it will
migrate
be 10
from aerial to underground?
it will be 10 billion euros to bury the cables. 10 billion. So it is good for the industry.
Yeah, that's clear. This is good for
All
the
the
industry.
companies in charge of the deployment are very happy now because they already deployed the network and they will have a new big market to bury the cables on existing. So it will be life of network, obviously, because we have existing network with active equipment, with existing customers, etc.
Yeah, because it's something like how to say, not an evolution, but it's like a next step maybe there. We don't know when should be, but I like to ask you about this, let's say, training, fiber optic training services, because you are like the initiator, the creator of this fiber training center in Camusat in Romania. Like I can speak about the first private fiber training center in Romania, what is existing now. And I know that in France, there are the biggest number of fiber optic trainings or fiber optic schools, I can say. Yeah? So what you can say about this training in fiber optics in France?
So we have two sorts of training centers, first things, and after that, what about the quality and on what focus, because we have the deployment, we have the exploitation, we have the connections, etc. So I can speak about these two things. The first one is some, as you know, because I presented the situation, specific situation during the last FTTH Council Europe in Vienna. Some of the main subcontractors decided to create their own training centers. So we have some of them with few of them with real efficient training center for their own needs. For the others, it is not really a training center, but it is an existing system. And we have in parallel big and external training centers, real. The best ones are the ones who have the a stamp of Objectif Fibre. So Objectif Fibre is a government association, I could say, in charge of the best practice. They are writing books as a reference for the deployment of the network, for the deployment inside the building, for the connection for the new buildings with an existing network, etc., etc. And they are able to give a certificate to the training centers, and the best example is the certificate of Objectif Fibre. So we have this sort of organization for the trainings. It's a good organization, globally speaking. The point is, today, because of the efficiency of the deployment organization in France, the deployment is behind us. Today, I don't know any subcontractor who invest on training for the deployment part, for the rollout. The focus and the effort on the training are on the connections. Because the system, today the deployment is done, even if we have 3 years to reach the target, the final target, but the deployment is done. And the main challenge in France is to be able to transform the deployment into success, so to optimize, to increase the take-up rate.
Yeah, so in order to move from home pass to home connected, so that's
absolutely. And because of the situation of the mutualized network, we have really a specificity. The connection is not done by the infrastructure operator. The connection is done by the commercial operator, not by themselves because they have subcontractors, but under the responsibility. So finally, the mutualized point is not only under, even if it is contractually speaking, under the responsibility of the infrastructure operator, operationally speaking, in the day-to-day on field, the technicians of the commercial operators are able to go inside this mutualized point to put in place the pigtail.
So it's like it's a big need, not so many people to do this
So lots of people in
connectivity
the
to
same,
the customers.
absolutely, lots of people in the same technical point, and that's why it is difficult. For the infrastructure operator, it is difficult to maintain the quality of this point, particularly the mutualized point. So it is very,
nice,
very
interesting
specific
point. How do you see the need and the challenge? So it's a good question now is coming in my mind for you, because we spoke about the training. So like you mentioned about this e-training, like indoor training or interior training in the companies. Like in the past, the trainings has been done by an incumbent like Orange for their needs, to prepare the people. Then you make a step forward with the indoor for the subcontractor, like to have their own. And now my question to you, what do you see, or how do you see the future of trainings in fiber optics? So how do you see the future type of trainings?
So today we have lots of, I could say, lots of new tools to improve, to control and to improve the efficiency and the quality. Particularly, we have some artificial intelligence tools and these tools, so application, a mobile application, etc. With these tools, we are able to check on live if I work properly or not. And really, it is a revolution. But to be sure that this mobile application is used properly by the technicians, we need not only to train them on the operations, on technical, how to make, how to use the laser, how to use make the measure of the quality, etc., etc. Okay, it is the first part. The second part is to have the knowledge, and it was exactly what we did in the Fiber Training Center in Bucharest together, Cornell. It is to learn for the Romanian technicians. The focus was to learn them the French operator needs and what are they want to see on the field. So we need to continue to invest on the, even if you have the technical skills, you need to understand the needs of the client, the operator. And it is very important to focus on that, because for one operator to the other, it is not exactly the same thing. So it is the second point. And the third point is how to use the specific mobile application. I spoke about artificial intelligence, but we have also new mobile application to reschedule, to record failure, to change the last termination access, etc., to change the optical rules. So what about I have to do? We need also to train the technicians to the use of the good tools to be able to have the good quality of the information in our referential. And it is really in parallel of the what I did in my career. Today I am involved in the main association in France. The name is Infranum. I am president of the performance commission, and what we discovered, unfortunately, it is not only a discovery, but it is the bad quality of the referential. Once we have the good quality
of the referential, so because performance has some thresholds, when is good, when is not good. So you are speaking about,
but the quality of the referential is never finished. Because each time I work on an existing network, like I am able to change the optical path. I am able to change, to repair one fiber I am able to change the fiber to this household. Finally, I will use the red fiber in the other household, etc. So I change And if I am able to change, what about the mobile application to record this information? And how I am able to put the real information in my ISG, in the referential, etc., etc. And it is really a huge issue today in all the countries, for all the operators. How are we sure to have the good referential? And for me, it is probably the main issue we have, because it is easy to organize an industry, a machine to deploy. Even if it is not very well deployed in the first step, it will be easy to repair it because it is visible. We have a fiber, okay, I can repair. The quality of the referential is really a challenge. And I think that we are not focused enough on that point, globally speaking. In the industry, we are not focused enough on that point. It will be the next challenge, because we are not able to make a good exploitation of the network if we don't know the network. And we have the knowledge of the network if we have the good referential.
Yeah, I'm glad that you speak about this quality of referential as a big challenge in the worldwide, let's say,
Absolutely.
deployments of fiber optic. And also, I remember that recently I saw this UK deployment of infrastructure map with all the underground utilities at national level, so good big investments.
Yeah.
So like in this moment, as far as I know, it's a big issue with, let's say, to have a register of all the underground utilities. We don't have all the information in one place, and this is very useful for all the deployments underground, because we are speaking about this big challenge. And in the same time, you are speaking about this nice challenge to see the quality of referential. So now, my last question to you, because time is always passing. My last question for you is to go again or to move with the next challenges. What you see the challenges for fiber optic market in France and at the international level, and also what you see the biggest innovations in the last 1-2 years in fiber optics.
So in the fiber optic world, generally speaking, the main innovation should be artificial intelligence. I spoke about the mobile application on that. It is existing tools, but probably we will have lots of innovation on that, even to be sure to control the quality of the referential, etc. It will be possible. It will be possible due to that also to make preventive maintenance, and it will be really a very good innovation, because in the future we won't wait on a failure. We will anticipate the failure because of the risk, because of the analysis of the big data. So really, I think that it will be a revolution and a big challenge to be able to have and to improve our own efficiency with these tools. For the usage of the fiber, I think that we will find other. So today it was FTTB, it is FTTH. Today it will be F5G. So FTTR,
FTTR,
in the room, in the device, FTTD. Well, okay, it will be just an improvement, but not a revolution. But the usage of the fiber will be as a sensor. For example, we could have fiber as a sensor everywhere. The warning system for the households could be directly with fiber as a sensor. Not only because we have captor and it is I am able to discover that the window is open, etc. So, but because we have somebody inside in the garden, because we are able to measure the difference, the quality on the fiber, because we have somebody in the garden, we will be able. It is an existing technology today, but it is used only for factories, nuclear industry, etc. And probably we will be able, because we will have fiber everywhere, we will be able to find other usage directly with the existing fiber in the households. And it will be, I don't know what will be the new world, but probably it will be a new world and a revolution in the usage.
Yes, and it's interesting to speak about fiber to everywhere, but also like in the beginning was like mobile application only for voice, people to people, then has been extended to internet and to other services. So you are speaking about fiber as an infrastructure and then to build more applications like households to bring more services for the users, for the clients.
Probably.
Okay, yeah. Good to know. What about innovations in fiber optic itself? How do you see? Because that we are speaking about sensing, like fiber optic as a sensor, as you speak now, but also on the other side, like estimations on the fiber optic market growth are plastic. They are coming more and more, and special fibers like core or multi-core fibers. How do you see the evolution of what type of fiber optic will be more used in the future?
Most use I don't know, but the hollow fiber, for me, I follow the evolution of the technology in the hollow fiber. Because with this hollow fiber, I see lots of a huge throughput. It will be not for tomorrow in the households, etc., but for to be able to have a very high throughput, to be able to connect new computers, the quantic computers, etc. We will need to have not this sort of the existing fiber optic, but we will need to have a new fiber optic to be able to transform the efficiency of these new computers and to give all the data in a very high speed. So for my part, I am following particularly the hollow fiber.
Thank you very much, Emeric. You said many interesting things. I hope will be helpful also for all the people who are watching us. We are speaking here not only for the experts and for people who have a big experience like both of us, more than 20 years, but also for the people who want to know more about the fiber optics and deployments of future fiber optics. Thank you for sharing your experience, your knowledge, and this international view. Thank you for your friendship, and looking forward for meeting you soon in other places, in this podcast or in other places too also.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We are speaking also to our people who are watching us today. We are waiting for you for the next podcast. We'll continue with the invited guests for our podcast, Meet Fiber Optic Experts, the next emission. Please follow us, watch us, and send us any questions or any suggestions for next podcast. Thank you very much. I'm Cornel Barbut, fiber optic expert. Looking forward for meeting you, fiber guys. Bye bye.